So in this video today, I'm going to be talking about the strong woman trap, what it is, what it costs you, and how you can distinguish between two types of strength. So you are strong. That is not the problem. The problem is somewhere along the way, that strength became the only thing you were allowed to be. You are exhausted, and somebody called it strength, and you accepted it like a title that you earned. So today we need to talk about that. I am A. Simone Sims. I am a certified life coach, but most importantly, I am a woman who was stuck in the strong woman trap for years. I showed up, I handled everything, and I never asked anyone for help because asking for help felt like weakness to me. And that weakness felt like I was losing everything that I had worked hard to become. Until one day I realized that that version of me that everyone was counting on, that was not actually me. That was a performance. That was survival mode wearing my name. And now I help women who are successful on paper, but surviving on the inside live a more aligned and fulfilling life. The strong woman trap. You walked into it without even noticing it. So the trap was never announced. It wasn't broadcast, hey, here's the strong woman trap. Nobody said, here's your role for the rest of your life. It happened gradually. Someone leaned on you and you held them. Someone fell apart and you stayed together. Someone needed someone and you were there. And every time you held it together, you got rewarded with praise, with trust, with being needed, with being called strong. And that felt like love, so you kept doing it. The trap is this. You have built an identity around a coping mechanism. Is that deep? So strength was how you survived something, but then it became who you are. And now you cannot put it down without feeling like you are losing yourself, losing your mind, losing who you are. That is not strength. That is a cage, hear me, wearing a crown. Until being strong stopped being something you chose and became something you could not escape from. So the strong woman trap is when the coping mechanism that helped you survive hard seasons becomes the only identity you are allowed to have. And I know that's deep, but it's the truth. It did not start as a trap. It started as protection at some point in your life, maybe when you were young, maybe when you were in a relationship. It maybe started in your career. You learned that holding it together kept things safe. It kept people from worrying about you. It kept you needed. And it maybe kept you loved too. So you got good at it, really good. And the world respected it by calling that goodness strength. They praised you, they leaned on you, they started expecting it. And here is the part that makes it a trap, not a trait. No one ever told you that you could stop. I know. There was not a moment where someone said, you've done enough holding it together, you can rest now. So you never stop. The performance that once protected you became the cage that you cannot find a door out of because everyone around you, heck, a part of you too, believes that strength is who you are and not something that you do. And you don't know how to turn it off. You don't. So I want you to ask yourself something honestly. If you stop being the strong one tomorrow, stop handling everything, stop being everyone's safe space, if you just stop showing up, no matter what, who would you be? And that's a tough question for some women. If that question makes you uncomfortable, even a little bit afraid, that is the strong woman trap talking. That is your identity being so fused with the role that letting go of the role feels like losing yourself. Here's another way to know it's a trap and not real strength. Real strength has an off switch. It can rest without guilt. It can receive without deflecting. It can say, I don't have the capacity for that right now. Without spiraling into who am I if I say no? If you do not have an off switch, if your strength runs all the time, no matter what it costs you, that's not strength anymore. That is survival mode that is wearing a crown. So, what does this strong woman trap actually cost you? Okay, everybody talks about the burnout and the exhaustion, but we gonna go a lot deeper. We are, because it's time for us to get out of this. So the strong woman trap costs you your permission to need things. When you are the strong one, you stop being allowed to have needs. You become the person who handles things and not the person who needs things handled. Yeah, that's true. And over time, you stop even knowing what you need because you stop asking. It also costs you authentic relationships. Think about it. I want you to think about this. The people around you do not know the real you. They know the strong you, the capable you, the one who shows up. And somewhere deep down, you know if you show them the real you, the scared one, the tired one, the one who does not have it all figured out, you are not sure if they would stay. So you keep performing. It costs you your calling. The strong woman trap keeps you so busy holding everyone else up that you never have the capacity to pursue what God actually put you here on this earth to do. Your dreams are at the bottom of your to-do list. Your assignment keeps getting postponed. It's deep, y'all, because someone always needs that strong version of you before you can get to the real version of you. It also costs you the ability to receive. You become so good at giving that receiving feels foreign. It's actually, you got to learn how to receive. Receiving is an art. You are so uncomfortable, almost suspicious when someone tries to pour into you. You deflect, you minimize, you say, I'm fine. Because being poured into requires vulnerability, and vulnerability feels like weakness. And weakness feels like losing the only identity that kept you safe. I know. It's mind-boggling. It is. And we've never taken the time to actually stop and think about this stuff. But it's my mission to help you get clear, sis. It's my mission to help you get clear. So now we're going to talk about the two different types of strength. We're going to talk about genuine strength versus survival mode dressed up as strength. So strength, genuine strength chooses. Survival has no choice. So I want you to ask yourself this when you're trying to figure out if something is genuine strength versus is it survival mode. Am I doing this because I want to or because I'm terrified of what happens if I do not? Because that answer is everything. So genuine strength can rest. If the idea of resting, truly resting, not just a little quick recovering, just enough to keep going, but true rest makes you feel guilty or if it makes you feel anxious, that is not genuine strength operating. That is survival mode keeping you moving because if you stop, it feels dangerous. Genuine strength can receive. If you give endlessly and cannot accept help or support or care or rest without feeling uncomfortable, that is not genuine strength. That's a wound wearing survival mode and strength as honor. Genuine strength knows its limits. The strong woman trap tells you limits are weakness. Real strength knows exactly where the line is and honors it without apology. You know, when we were back talking about boundaries in one of my previous videos, you know, it's basically a boundary is where you stop and someone else begins. It's where what's yours to carry and what's not yours to carry. So the question is not, am I strong? Because you are. The question is, am I choosing this strength or am I trapped inside it? Because if you trap, sis, That is the strong woman trap. And so, y'all know always, I'm a very in tune spiritual person. I have a very close relationship with God in the Trinity. And so I always want to make sure that I leave you with scripture, with something you can listen to. So I want to leave you with two scriptures. I always have to leave you with something where you can go on your own and you can increase your relationship with God, or you can get what you need so you can be the best version of you. So I always have to leave you with some scripture because I'm not always around and easy accessible, but I want to make sure you always have something to take with you. And so I usually read from the New King James Version, but feel free to read from whichever version of the Bible helps you understand the scripture to your best ability. So I got Isaiah 40, verse 31, and it says, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." That's Isaiah 40, verse 31. It says, "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." And I need you to hear the word renew. Not maintain, not push through, but renew. Real strength comes from God, and it does not leave you depleted. It does not hollow you out over time. It does not require you to perform until you break. If your strength is constantly costing you your peace, your joy, your sense of self, that is not the strength that Isaiah is talking about. That is survival mode. That's survival. And God never asks you to survive in your own life. He asks you to wait on Him, to be connected to Him, to let Him be the source so you can stop trying to be the source for everyone else. The strong woman trap produces a counterfeit strength. Hear that. That runs on willpower, performance, and fear. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31 describes what real strength actually feels like. Renewed, not depleted. Soaring, not dragging. And running without growing weary. So the second scripture that I have for you all, like I said, I read from the New King James Version. Feel free to read from whatever version you want. But the second scripture I have is 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. And it says, He said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I would rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." And so I had to look up the word infirmities. When I study my Bible, I kind of study. So I made a note. So infirmities are physical sickness, bodily fragilities, and spiritual weakness. So I'm going to read this verse one more time because now we know what infirmities are. So it is 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. And he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." Come on now. "Therefore, most gladly, I would rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." That's deep. That is so deep. The strong woman trap is built on the belief that weakness is unacceptable, that you cannot afford to need anything, that vulnerability is dangerous. This verse directly dismantles that. God's strength is not activated by your performance. Let me say that again. God's strength is not activated by your performance. God's strength is made perfect. It operates at its fullest in your weakness. So the woman who finally admits that she cannot carry this alone is not failing. She is creating the exact conditions where God's power can actually show up. Come on now. Come on. So Paul writes in this verse that God told him, "My strength is made perfect in your weakness," not in your performance, not in how well you hold it together. Come on, strong women, all right? In your weakness. The thing that the strong women trap told you was your greatest liability. The admission that you cannot do it all alone, that you are tired and that you need something. God calls that very place where his power shows up completely, shows up the most complete. That's where his power shows up. So you've been hiding the thing that was always meant to be your access point. So if this is where you are right now, a clarity call is 60 minutes of me helping you finally name what you have been carrying, figuring out where you are now and where you want to be and how to get there. So the link is in the description. Use code GET20 for 20% off. You don't have to keep figuring this out alone. I would love to walk with you through clarity. So thank you for being here. I do not take it lightly that you have given me this time. If this video describes your life or a woman you may know, share it with that woman or any woman that needs to hear this. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And remember, you are not weak. You are not broken. You are a woman who has been just surviving when you were made for so much more. I'll see you in the next one.